I'm going to stand up for the first part.
Oh, we forgot to cut this.
Okay, I think we're ready to go. You got a good shot? Okay, very good. Okay, good morning, everyone. This is Chuck at Midori Farm, and welcome to our community farm event number 5. Today we're at the sweet potato field that we started 5 months ago. And as you can see, our sweet potato farm is actually quite full of sweet potato vines. And we're very happy about that. It's a good sign that we're going to get a lot of great sweet potato tubers this year. And we're excited to harvest those out probably next month. So if you're in the area and you'd like to join us, please make sure you contact me either through my website, midorifarm.net, Facebook, which is also Midori Farm, or through some other channels, and let me know that you want to come out and help us harvest sweet potatoes, and even take 1 or 2 home with you when you go. But for now, we're just going to talk about what's going on with the sweet potatoes right now, and what's in store for us. So as you can see, we have the whole sweet potato farm kind of quarantined with this green netting here. Okay, and you might be thinking, geez, why did they put all this green netting over here? And I got to tell you, it's because of monkeys. Monkeys have for several years come onto my farm and taken my sweet potatoes. And it's a really, really big problem for me. I must say that having monkeys on my farm has been one of the most challenging things I've ever faced in farming. Monkeys love sweet potatoes. So what we've done this year is we've covered them with this net, and so far it's proven very effective. So I recommend for those of you who are also in Japan or countries like India or other countries which have problems with monkeys coming on their farms, try covering your fields with this kind of netting, and you might have more success in keeping them away. Because of course, we want to eat our sweet potatoes. We're not growing them for the local wildlife, as much as we support nature, of course. So the sweet potato vines are actually pushing against here. You can see they want to spread out even further and further. And in some places, they're actually poking out like this. And when they do that, the deer will come along and trim them off. And what we've just started doing at Midori Farm for our veggie box customers is our customers who get a box of vegetables are now getting some sweet potato leaves as well. Why? What do people do with sweet potato leaves? It's not the tuber. Can you eat sweet potato leaves? The answer is yes. Sweet potato leaves are very nutritious and very delicious. And it's a very popular food for in places like India and Thailand and South America, where sweet potatoes originally come from. So if you're curious about sweet potato leaves, you can look online for recipes. And if you'd like to get some, please order a basket with Midori Farm or your nearest local sweet potato farmer. And please make sure it's organic. Okay, are there any questions so far? I hear that we have at least 1 participant. Would you like to ask a question? No? Or maybe you're typing a comment. Okay. Can I have the name of the participant? Hmm? Tipitania. Okay, Tipitania, I look forward to your comment or your question.
I never know that sweet potato leaves are edible. But why don't they sell it?
This is a good question. Thank you for the good question. I have never seen sweet potato leaves in the supermarket myself or for sale anywhere. But I imagine if you went to places like South America or India or some other places, you might actually see them in the markets because it is a popular food there. I think basically sweet potatoes are so easy to grow that a lot of farmers don't take the time to really manage them very well. And the leaves can get eaten by insects or just get too big or too unmanageable. And there's so many other different varieties of leaves that we can eat that people just dismiss them. But I love educating people about food and what's possible, especially for organic food. So I encourage you to go out there and search for sweet potato leaves if you can find them. Otherwise, you can maybe contact a local farmer and see what they've got. Thanks for the great question.
I see. I hope I can try them someday. Thanks for the answer.
Oh, my pleasure, Titania. Thank you for asking. Okay, well, what we're going to do now is we're going to shift gears a little bit, and I'm going to invite my son, Junior, who's helped me every step of the way with the sweet potato farm, to come on in here and have a conversation with me. So, come on, Junior. So, tell me a little bit about yourself, Junior. Where do you live?
I live in Kyoto.
Oh, okay. How old are you?
I'm 9 years old.
Okay, when's your birthday?
December 11th.
Oh, you're almost 10. All right, very good. And do you like coming out here to Midori Farm?
Yes, because I can see a lot of creatures and I can go hiking and swim in the river. So
Yeah, that's awesome. And what are your favorite creatures up here?
snakes.
Have you ever seen a mamushi, a poisonous snake?
No.
I think we saw a little baby one 2 years ago
Oh,
in the
yeah,
river.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
But it
yeah.
was so small. But do you want to see a mamushi?
Yes.
Okay, you're pretty strong. Most people are pretty scared of those, though.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I'd like to ask you a little bit more about sweet potatoes. Now,
Mhm.
you've helped me this year to grow them out, but it was your first time. So I'm wondering, do you remember how we grow our sweet potatoes?
First we put organic sweet potato into a pot with soil.
Oh, like a whole potato, a whole sweet potato.
Yeah.
Okay, into the pot of soil.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we keep watering it
Mm-hmm. Ah, of course. Yep. Yep.
and then keep it safe. Like don't make like the other animals eat it or something.
I've had monkeys eat mine before. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Right out of the soil.
and we try to keep it safe.
Uh-huh.
Then after that, from the potato, slips grew.
What are slips?
Slips are like, they're like leaves
Mm-hmm.
which come out.
Oh, okay. Like little baby plants.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
then,
slips come out of the sweet potato.
yeah.
Oh, cool.
And then,
How long does that take?
2, 3, 4 months.
Oh, that's a long time. I think it took about one or 2 months for us to
Oh,
get
yeah.
full slips, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then when the slips became full, we gently took them out of the potato,
Okay, we removed them from the potato.
and then we put it into a different jar with water in it.
Okay. Just water.
Just water.
Okay.
And then in about 3, 4 months,
Weeks, maybe?
weeks, the potato slips roots came out.
Ah, roots come out the bottom of the sweet potato slip. I see.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we put them in the soil,
Mm-hmm.
and then we kept watering them, and then like about 5, 6 months and weeks, and then so many potatoes.
Uh-huh. So many sweet potato plants now, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember how many sweet potato plants we put in the ground here?
About 15.
How many?
15.
15? Well, I think there's 15 in each row, and there's 6 rows.
So it's 90.
Good math skills. Way to go. That's right. It was about 90 or 100 sweet potato plants. And some of them actually died. So we replaced those with some other ones. So yeah, it's right around 100, I would say. And did you remember how many different varieties of sweet potatoes we planted?
About 4.
Yeah, it was 4 or 5 different kinds of sweet potatoes. Do you know any of the names of the sweet potato varieties?
No.
No, yeah. There's Naruto Kintoki. There's Annoimo, and that's the good one, right? That one's kind of got orange flesh inside, and it's really nice roasted. Now, what's your favorite way to eat a sweet potato?
It's usually with nikujaga.
Nikujaga, okay.
Yeah.
What about yakiimo? Do you like that? Ishiyakiimo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Mommy makes pretty good sweet potato soup, right? Yeah, that's really good. Okay, cool. So when it's time next month to harvest, what do you think we're going to do? Now, this is something you've never done before, so this is a guess. So if you get it wrong, it's okay. So what do you think we're going to do when we want to harvest these things? What's step one?
Make sure the monkeys are not near.
Good point. That's always a good point.
Or the monkeys are not looking.
That's right. That's right, because they're always watching. Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we take these green nets, and then
we take them away.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct. We have to. Mm-hmm.
And then we gently take the good potatoes out of the soil, and then the small ones, like this one, we should save, and then in 2 weeks we should come again and then see if it's big, and then we gently take them out.
Very good. That's exactly right. But it's really hard to get to the sweet potatoes themselves. Do you know why? Because there's all these vines.
Yeah.
So how do we find out where the sweet potatoes are?
We find the ground, and we yeah,
it's a tough question. It's okay if you don't know.
I know.
That's okay. Actually, what we do is we remove the vines first. So we cut all the vines away, except like you said, if there's ones that seem pretty small, we leave those vines and let them grow a few more weeks, let them get bigger, right? But for the big ones, we cut away all the vines first. And then we have almost an empty field with just the sweet potatoes in the ground. Okay? What do you think we do next to gently remove them? How do we do that?
So we put our hands like this.
On each side, yep.
And then we touch the sweet potato inside, and then we curve it out, and then we take it out.
Yeah. You know, how big is a sweet potato?
The biggest I've seen is about this size.
It's pretty big, right? Yeah. Yeah. And is that how long it is or how round it is?
How long?
Okay. How fat do you think they get?
About this fat?
Yeah, that's a big sweet potato. But there's actually a picture on our website or our Facebook page, I can't remember which, maybe both, of you when you were about 4 years old.
Yeah.
How big was that sweet potato?
About the same.
Yeah, that's right. It was as big as your head.
Yeah. Bigger than my head.
That's right. You know why? Because I like to leave my sweet potatoes in the ground for a very long time. I think most sweet potato farmers leave their sweet potatoes in the ground after the slips are nice and big and they plant them out, maybe 2 to 4 months. And it's a big range because I think some people want to grow them only till they're pretty small, and that's fine. And they harvest them, and that's how they sell them.
What about you?
And some maybe medium size. Oh, how about me? Good question. I like to leave them in the ground the maximum amount of time. And I do that because I don't want to use this farm for anything else this year. I'm not in a hurry to get them out and get the next crop in. And that's something most farmers are doing, especially farmers who are farming them for profit, and for a business like I'm doing. So I'm unusual in that I like to leave them in the ground until they're huge. They're absolutely massive. Most people say my sweet potatoes are bigger than any they've ever seen. And that's not always a good thing because cutting up a sweet potato is pretty tough. So not everybody wants the huge ones, but I like them that size. And they taste great. And I get the maximum yield, which means the most amount of sweet potatoes that I can. But a lot of farmers want to say, okay, it's been 3 months, let's take them out because we got to put in our next year's onions or the daikons or the cabbages or whatever else they want to plant next. Now, one thing farmers probably already know is that sweet potatoes are called root vegetables. They're in the root vegetable category. And after a root vegetable, you probably don't want to plant another root vegetable. You want to plant something else. And the nice mnemonic that I like to think of is roots, greens, fruits, beans. So that means after a root vegetable like sweet potatoes, we want to plant something leafy green, like cabbage or maybe lettuce or
Hockside?
Chinese cabbage, hockside, that's Chinese cabbage, kale, chard. I'm going to stop. I think we have a question. Yes?
Do the sweet potatoes taste the same after they've big?
Oh, good question. Are the do the sweet potatoes taste the same after they're so big? And the answer is yes, they do. That's a very good question. They're much like potatoes, and then it doesn't really matter the size of them as long as they're ripe. And sweet potatoes become ripe pretty soon, so you can actually harvest them almost at any size. I hope that answers your question. But the only thing, again, with the big ones is they're a bit harder to cut up. Okay, they are good, aren't they? Yeah.
They're better than, so the ones you keep about 3 weeks is easy to cut, but not so yummy.
Oh.
And 6 weeks, like yours, is hard to cut up, but it's really good. And it's like so yellow.
Yeah, that's right. And I think that the big ones that get really big, they're harder to roast. And Japan loves roasted sweet potatoes, and actually I do too. They roast them whole in the skin, and it's super great. It's almost impossible to do that with the big fat ones because there's just so much volume in there. They don't roast as well. So what we do is we take our giant ones and we separate them out from the smaller ones because we always get some of both sizes. And then the smaller ones are for roasting and the larger ones are for soups and curries and things like that. Good job. Okay, I think we have another question. Are they sweeter? I don't believe so, no. I think they're basically the same taste. They're just a bigger size. Holding for another question? No, we're good? Okay, very good. So, Junior, what do you think is the best thing about farming?
You get to know wildlife.
Ah, you know how many insects I see every day?
Million.
Maybe not a million, but certainly more than 10 or 20. I mean, I see all different kinds of insects. And what insect do farmers like?
So when it's hot, dragonflies, because when we're hot and we're in the sun and we're cutting the sweet potatoes and stuff, we sweat a lot, and then the mosquitoes come to the sweat, but the dragonflies eat the mosquitoes. And in any case, ladybugs.
Ladybugs. Why do we like ladybugs? Do you remember? That's right. You're right. We love ladybugs. Do you know why?
Because they eat the bugs which try to eat our potatoes and carrots and all the vegetables.
That's right. Those little bugs are called aphids, or aburamushi in Japanese, and they are terrible. They like to eat the leaves of plants. And when they start eating the leaves of the plants die. And these ladybugs, boy, they eat a lot of those aphids. That's right. There's one more important insect that I think you remember. It's the one that likes to go from flower to flower.
Bees.
That's right. Now, most people, do you like bees?
I like them. I don't like wasps and suzumebachi.
That's right. Suzumebachi, the murder hornets or giant Japanese hornets. Yeah, those are no fun. But bees are a farmer's great friend because they will pollinate. And pollination is important for any plant that has a flower, and that flower needs to be pollinated before the fruit grows. So any fruiting plants. What do you think is a fruiting plant? Can you give me an example of a fruiting plant?
Strawberries?
Strawberries are definitely a fruiting plant. Very, very good. They love bees. But actually, strawberries don't really need pollinators. But do you know tomatoes are also a fruit?
Yeah.
Watermelons?
Yeah.
Yep. What's the long green one that we eat in salads?
Cucumbers?
That's right. Cucumbers are fruits as well. Also melons. But also there are other fruiting plants like eggplants and peppers. Apples. Very good. Anything that's a fruit, but a lot of vegetables are also called fruiting plants, okay? All those category of plants mostly need pollinators because something has to carry the pollen from one flower to another. Sometimes it's just a regular flower. Sometimes there's a male flower and a female flower, like cucumbers and all cucurbits, like squashes and zucchinis. They have a male flower and a female flower. And without those pollinators, we're in trouble. Because guess what? Those fruits don't grow. So that's pretty sad. So we love the bees. We hope the bees are safe and happy, and we hope to support other people who are helping save the bees. So bees are good. What insect doesn't Pop like?
Cucumber beetles.
Cucumber beetles are my number one enemy, that's for sure. But what?
Butterflies.
That's right. What'd you say?
Butterflies.
But everybody loves butterflies. Why would I hate butterflies?
Because they lay their eggs on cabbage and we like to eat cabbage.
What do the eggs do?
The eggs hatch and the small, the baby butterfly comes out.
What's that called?
Uh,
The very hungry.
a caterpillar. And then the caterpillar eats the cabbage and we have no cabbage to eat. So
That's right. And many times when we cut up the cabbage to eat it, there's caterpillars inside.
yeah,
Are they yummy?
No.
So that's right. So most farmers love bees, don't love caterpillars and butterflies. Sorry, they're not our friend. But, you know, we love all and try to preserve all wildlife. So as an organic farmer, I'm here to say that not only am I trying to raise vegetables for people, but also trying to stay in harmony with nature and my environment and to support my community. So I think that's an important thing to take away, that there are some things that we have trouble with, like monkeys and cucumber beetles and caterpillars and other things, but rather than spraying, you know, hazardous poisons which will harm other things and trying to eliminate them, we try to find natural ways to solve our problems. And that's an ongoing struggle. And that's one of the reasons people might say, well, why are organic vegetables so much more expensive? That's one of the main reasons. Is it sometimes takes twice as much effort or more to grow those vegetables because we're not using these convenient chemicals and spraying them into our ecosystems and polluting other things. So please support local organic farmers, especially if they're small. Okay? Juna, that was great. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
uh, I said bees and bees pollinate, but I hear bats do too.
Oh, I've never heard that. We'll have to look that up. I know you love animals, so let's look that up together.
Yeah, but I hear only some bats do it. So if those bats do it, do you like them?
What a good question. What a great question. Well, you know, I already like bats. I think bats are pretty cool because they're the only mammal that can fly. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, wow. And they have sonar, you know, echolocation. That's pretty awesome. It's like a superhero. And I mean, Batman is one of my favorite superheroes. You like Batman? Yeah, he's pretty cool. So I think that, yeah, I love bats already. And because they pollinate, I love them even more.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, well, I think that's all we have for you, Junie. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
And yeah, let's get back to work later.
Okay.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, that's all for Junior's time. And if you have any questions or comments, please post them. Or if you're looking at this on YouTube, because this will be on YouTube soon for those of you watching live now, or if you've missed it live and you're watching on YouTube, thanks for joining us on the Midori Farm channel. And please comment and like and subscribe if you can. We've got lots of videos for people talking about different things about how to grow vegetables, how to manage them, different problems, and interviews with volunteers and things like that. We love your support, so we hope to see you come back and watch some more. Okay, well, we've got two special volunteers with us today. I didn't say this before, but Junia and I both live in Kyoto City, but originally I come from America. So I have some experience with some farms and growing vegetables in America, but not very much at all. I really learned everything I know here in Japan. And I study through a variety of ways, through podcasts and websites and just basically trial and error, lots of error. But, you know, I find that the more I talk to people from international countries and other places, the more I can learn about stuff. Because farming is something that people all over the world are doing. And there's so many things that we share in common, even though we're from totally different countries with completely different climates and completely different vegetable varieties and dietary habits and workforces and economies and cultures and everything. There's so much we have in common. So I find that the more internationally minded farmers are, the better the international farming community is and the stronger, because we can all share our tips and tricks and recipes and seed save tips and things like that, because that's what we're all about. We're all about creating the best food for the best people without creating a large impact on the environment. So right now I'd like to invite a young woman from China named Tong, and she's going to help us out to talk a little bit about growing things in China. Tong, come on down here.
So I guess sit here, right?
Yeah, that's fine. So Tong, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell me where you're from, what you're doing in Japan, and things like that.
Okay, I come from China, and especially in the northeast of part of China. I came to Japan because I'm doing my PhD, like PhD, yeah, and that is all. Yeah.
Okay, well, PhD, that's
Yeah.
pretty big. I mean, so you studied your rest of your studies were in China.
Yeah, yes, and yeah. Also, my major is about meteorology and also about some kind of skill about climate change, and yeah, and well, the reason that I came to Japan because Japan and China like we are close to each other, and some like the phenomena is kind of similar to each other because we are always in the same like monsoon system, especially in the Asia region. Yeah. So yeah.
I think that these days, meteorologists in general have to study climate change.
Yes, exactly. Because climate change, that things that 10 years ago it's become a worldwide issue, a big issue. Every country, I think that they have different issues about the climate change, and climate change like has every relationship with our lives and not about the food, the output of food, about our life, and also about other animals or creatures in the world. So climate change is a big and huge issue in the world.
I mean, as a farmer, and I'm sure I'm speaking to a lot of farmers all across the world, climate change has made things so much more difficult for us. I mean, planting schedules, there used to be where you knew the first frost date of the year is going to be about, let's say, December 5th, and the last frost date might be around April 1st or something like that in your region. And it was region to region, but people knew these for centuries. Farmers would just know these things. So they knew when they could plant things out and when the deadline was for planting some things out. It's very important because farmers want to get the earliest possible crop to the market or to their customers, and then hold out to the last possible minute at the same time to get the last crops out as well. But now it's like out the window because suddenly winters aren't winters anymore, and typhoons are stronger and things like that. So it must make things much more difficult for meteorologists and climatologists.
Of course, because we make some simulations because everywhere, each region in the world, they have their self like topography. They have different like local weather, and sometimes the machine or the computer is it's just maybe just a machine. It's can't finish this like work like our using our eyes to detect the weather. It's very complicated, and sometimes you may think that the weather forecast is not so accurate because it's really complicated, and we have to like use many different things to put them together and to make the weather forecast. That is so difficult, especially for the farmers, for the agricultures, and for the plants, and for the forests. Actually, yeah.
Well, let me take a step back from talking about climate change. We'll come back to it. I just was curious. I mean, China is the most populated country in the world. It's arguably the oldest culture in the world. So I got to think that food in China is just so much variety and so much depth and so much difference region to region. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true.
So can you tell me something about farming in China that might be different from farming in Japan?
Now I just know my hometown. Actually, I'm not so sure other parts of China, but in my hometown is belong to the temperate climate. So the four seasons are very obvious to see. Spring is spring, the summer is summer, and the amount of the rainfall is about 1,000 to 2,000 in a year.
Millimeters.
Yeah, millimeters. It's very good for the farm, especially like the sweet potato with plant plant the sweet potato in May and we can harvest in October. So in this time span, we rains a lot and it's especially beneficial for the sweet potato, right? So especially in my hometown, we harvest a lot of the amount of the output is huge, and the people in my hometown we love sweet potato, and we will buy a lot of sweet potato just to put here, put in our home, and to we can eat in the winter. And the long time that we store in the home, the sweet potato becomes sweeter. And sometimes we don't eat rice actually, but our soil is really good to rice, but we would like to eat sweet potato instead of rice. And sweet potato is full of nutrients. It's very healthy for our body. Yeah, so that is the situation in my hometown. Yeah.
That's right. I think a lot of people don't realize that sweet potatoes aren't just delicious, but they're one of the most nutritious things for humans. They found that it's one of the superfoods. And I think we should just all eat more and more sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
And another thing you mentioned was really interesting is it's a great storage crop.
Yes.
I mean, the reason it's been around for so long before refrigerators is because you can store it for months and months, and it's like you said, it gets sweeter and sweeter.
Yes,
That's
exactly.
Right. That's right.
And people love sweet taste, right? Yeah.
That's
and
right.
it's not like rice. Sometimes we eat too much rice and we become fat, but sweet potatoes is full of the fiber and the other nutrients. It's very healthy for us, so yeah, why not to choose healthy food? Yeah.
Now, Junie and I were talking a little bit about eating the leaves before. Do you eat the leaves in China?
Maybe I never tried, but maybe some people they will fry or just fry like other vegetables, just fry with the leaves. Yeah, but yeah, I never tried.
Now, I have been to China, but just as a tourist, and I didn't visit any farms. I stayed mostly in near Shanghai and Nanking. Excuse me. But I have had some Chinese people visit my farm on a tour. I do farm tours through Airbnb experiences. So if you're ever in the area, please come on out and join a tour. But some of them were very interested not only in the plants that I was growing, but the wild plants growing around my farm. Because they said, oh my gosh, you can eat this, you can eat this. And I had no idea. And I think, like I said before, the Chinese culture and history is so long and rich and deep that people have really figured out if it's edible or not, and they take advantage of those things.
Yes, it's the reason that we don't know why, why they can be eaten, because maybe now we are in a society of a fast speed. So most of the time, the younger adults or the middle-aged people, they don't cook so often. They just eat in the restaurant. So they don't have enough knowledge about the food or the plants or vegetables. And in maybe my grandmother or my grandparents, they are old, so they know well about the plants. They know how to make use of the food, especially this is very healthy food. And so like in my hometown, we would like uh, to go to the mountain to get some wild vegetables. And it's very precious because we can just get them in special months like May or July or June, just like in this month. And it's now it's very expensive actually, because we don't plant this like wild vegetables. And also, but there is a very interesting point in my hometown that a lot of people, they have small garden and they would like to plant in their home, in their garden, to plant vegetables and they can eat. It's very healthy because sometimes we buy these vegetables, they're full of chemical things, and these chemical things can accumulate in our body. It's not so good, and they can plant to kill their time actually, and also get healthy food. So it's very interesting. And my neighbors in my hometown, a lot of my mother age people, they grow they plant in their home. Yeah.
Even people,
Yeah.
younger people.
Younger people maybe no. Younger people may just eat their mother and fathers. Yeah, they plant actually. Yeah.
This is something that's very interesting to me internationally as well as in Japan, is how popular is agriculture and farming and gardening with the younger generation. I'm almost 50, so I'm certainly no longer the younger generation, but people who are just graduating university, the 20s, early 30s, are they interested in farming? Are they interested in organic food, stuff like that in China?
I think they are not interested about farming, but organic food maybe they are interested because it's healthy. The reason is that maybe because they think it's a hard work, it's very like you need to spend a lot of time on this planting and take care of the plant, so they don't want to do the hard work. It's very tough. That's the reason, and they just want to enjoy the food. So that's a question that about organic food. Yes, now in China, more and more people are interested about organic food, and they would like to buy organic food, even though the price is higher than the normal vegetables, but they would like to. Yeah.
That's good news, because I think that's the first step to really supporting the environment and your body, is by buying organic vegetables,
Yeah.
because organic vegetables are grown with care not only to the vegetable but to the environment and society. All organic farmers think about those things, so when you're buying organic, you're supporting those things. It's worth the extra cost. You're basically getting yourself food that's delicious and healthier for you, while donating some money to an important cause at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah. I think it's a beneficial circle because more and more people buy organic food, so we need more and more organic food. And a lot of people, maybe more and more people, they will like get started being a farmers to plant organic food. And that is so good to our nature and environment. So maybe that's a good way or good solution to make our nature better.